What's up, YouTube? It's your boy Big C, coming at you live from the beautiful city of Oakland, California, man. I'm sitting here just chilling, man. I decided to make a video, and one of the things that is really sad that's going on right now is all this homelessness. We got tents lining the streets from West Oakland, from Wood Street in West Oakland, which looks like a third world country, man. Rodents running around, little shanty shacks put up. They white folks drop off those dog houses. All folks, I don't want to say white folks. Everybody contributes and try to help the homeless, and they build them those little dog houses, little bitty ass, tiny ass houses like a dog house, and it's cool for shelter though. When it start raining, it's cool. But you got these encampments all over throughout Oakland, throughout the Bay Area, throughout California. And I can't help but think about how that came to be, you know, and it takes those people wasn't always that age and homeless like that, so it had to be some steps. One of the things that stopped everybody was drugs, drugs, alcohol, mental health conditions, lack of family support or family structure, and these folks, they end up on the streets from not handling their business and from getting addicted to drugs, because a lot of people could work and change their life, but the resources on really delivering concentrated counseling and life-changing skills is slim. It's hardly no resources for that, and a lot of people don't believe or don't understand that that's what it's gonna take, and that's what works. You got to really have a intensive program for somebody to change their life from that situation, and it's got to be some prayer. So yeah, I was thinking about that, man. Thinking about you know, I had a rider today in my left, and it was a white lady. She came from Dallas, and she just was saying how beautiful these homes were in Funktown in West Oakland. And I took her through Alameda, and she was commenting on how nice the houses was in Alameda. And anybody been to Alameda, they got some beautiful big ass Victorians. West Oakland do too. The Dubs in Funktown, they got some of those old structural houses too. But the thing about it is, those houses from the 50s and 60s, I say in the 50s it was a lot of whites still in East Oakland. But in the 60s, those houses was our grandma houses, and those houses were the houses in my memory, like the old school 70s, the Panthers, and they were down on Peralta. All the black folks in Oakland lived. We first started off in West Oakland, all our families. When we migrated from the South and came to California, and some people went up north, some people went to LA, some people went to Boston, New York, Chicago, and all that stuff. And that was the Great Migration from the South to the cities, big cities in America, coming from the Jim Crow days. So, those houses were grandma houses. We all got our history from those houses. Eventually, the blacks moved further into East Oakland, and took over. But, now those houses are going back to the to the gentrifying population. They're charging arm and leg for these properties, and they're not fixing a problem or repairing a problem that essentially was created by the United States government, which was the influx of drugs and the crime that came with it in the 80s. So, you got a lot of tore up people, and then from these situations, we get a culture that spin out of that stuff and it operates like Willie Lynch said, like the Willie Lynch syndrome. It said it would spin on its own axis for thousands and thousands of years because the people affected will be the ones who's spinning that, which is the subject, the Willie Lynch syndrome, which is black on black crime. Who sold all the drugs back in those days? It was us. We sold them to each other. We sold them to our aunties and uncles. Even if you go back to the 40s, you know what I'm saying? Who was the kingpin by say Bumpy Johnson? Who was his customers? Blacks. You know what I'm saying? We got a lot of other people outside our race, but most of the time we are bringing harm to ourselves. Who was the customers in New Jack City? Who was the customers that Alpo and AZ them was serving and Rich then was serving in New York? Who was the customers that we were serving? Who was the customers they were serving down the Crips and Bloods and Freeway them? Who was that we serving? We were serving each other. We was the axis of the Jim Crow spent on the cycle because of we was spinning that shit. Now who else? Let's see. Look at another thing. The murder. The murder. That's just now it's like a fad. It's like a fashion. It's like little kids, 14, 15 years old. He's a shooter. He's rocking. He's sliding, and it's just now that's some spiritual that's some spiritual blindness right there. That's like a cutoff from the connection of God and right and wrong. It's ignorance, And once again, who are you killing? You're killing your brother or your sister. It's so sad to see across the country, every city got the same type of thing going on. You go to Chicago, you go to New York, you go to Miami, you go to LA, Oakland, Seattle, Milwaukee, Louisiana, Baton Rouge, New Orleans. Everywhere that you go across America, the black man is at war with each other, and they don't have nothing, no property. I know a lot of folks. And it's two type of black people though. It's black people and it's niggas. So we all know that. So the niggas, it's the most dangerous shit to be around because you move into those areas and your kids got to deal with the politics of that area. It might be dangerous that you don't know. You gotta keep your head on the swivel. Then it might turn out to be a good place. It might turn out to be somewhere where you don't want to be. But most of the time, like in these places like Detroit, it's all over the country, man. These black communities, it's the most dangerous places you could ever go. and then they take pride in that. You know, they talk about who has the biggest murder rate. So out of that soil, now that's the soil, that's the ground, that's the news on the ground, that's the ground right there. Out of that soil, how can you plant something in that environment, in that chaotic environment, in that traumatized environment? First of all, we gotta start having serious, deep thoughts and think tanks on how to reverse the trauma, how to heal the trauma, which we've experienced in this country since day one. It's a psychological thing, as well as other areas of battle. But we have to heal the trauma, and I refuse because I know this, so I refuse to participate in any fuckery, man. It's just sad that, it's an extra burden for a black man to have to navigate through all this bullshit. And I know everybody got to go through something. Everybody goes through it. But James Baldwin said to be a black man in America is to be in a rage all the time. Sometimes I be really, you go through things you don't know what the interaction was. Was it racist or was it not? Or you don't know what it did. So you got to wait and see. And, it's just dealing with people in general. You don't know what kind of people these are that you're dealing with. And I am a student of life, a spiritual being on this planet, and I'm just trying to do the best I could do. So I'm not into that sickness of racism and separatism. I feel God made us all, put us all here, and the message is clear in the books. Treat your neighbor as you want them to treat you. Don't kill your brother. The Ten Commandments, the Quran, the law has been established. I read all the books. I fit in with what I believe to be my truth. But yeah, man, we gotta get it together, man. And all it takes for one person, each individual, to understand what's going on and know that we can't continue to perpetuate the Willie Lynch syndrome on each other, because the soil is contaminated and we can't plant nothing good there and grow nothing out of that until we till our soil and clean our surroundings up, and clean our inner sides up, our minds, our hearts, our spirits. We got to clean this stuff up. We got to stop following falsehood and fakeness. We gotta be on code and operate as citizens in a community of a nation of excellent people, black people out of America that came from slavery to be the best human beings possible on this earth. Came from being enslaved. We weren't slaves. We were enslaved. And when we came out of that, by coming out of that, that was powerful. And as we go further, we're going to be more powerful and more strong for the health of our communities, the societies, our children, and under the guidance of God. We have to do it. If you don't develop your mind, if you're hurting yourself. You got to do it, man. You got to make the strong decisions, the tough decisions. You have to, you know. So we look at all these people laying out on these streets, and that's a form of that. Those people could have been productive in the society. You know, all those people are unproductive people, and they have been destroyed by life, basically. You know, it's some get back. A lot you can get back, but basically, these people have been laid out by life from their wrong choices. Life goes on, so if you go this way in life, the world is going this way, you went the wrong way. So you got to do whatever to get back on track. So these folks, these is hundreds of thousands of people, millions of people across the country that are incapacitated. They are, they are, they are of no use to themselves or no one. You know, on drugs, mental health conditions, toe up. So that's what the drugs did to our people, and that's what the lack of awareness and being dumb to the fact of what was happening to us. That's what it got us, you know. So if we don't snap up out of that shit, man, it's gonna get worse and worse. That's hundreds of thousands in just in this area right here. I say tens of thousands, just in the Bay Area right here, man. Tens of thousands of people that just not productive or nothing, is not doing nothing and sick. And it's more coming behind them. So those people are out of here. So now you got a lot of new folks moving to the Bay Area, and the rent, they're able to pay the rent. They're able to, they ain't complaining, you know. So now you seeing the change. If this continue for the next generations, how do you think that the racist people, once they get the overall overwhelming majority, how do you think they're not gonna go back to resort to their old ways of lynchings, hangings, killings, the abuse of rights, and taking freedoms and liberties from people? Even right now, they're trying to kick people out the country. So it's a danger for you not to be aware and for you not to operate accordingly in this current situation of what's going on in our country. So I just want to say that, man, we got to stand up, and each individual has to stand on this square and do what he knows is right. Be honorable, be guided by the Spirit of God, do what's right, take care of your people and take care of yourself, and educate yourself, man. Educate yourself, because it's going to be a rough ride if we don't stand up and be men out here. God bless y'all, man. Have a good one. All right. If you like my videos, like and subscribe. I just want to help our community. I just want to help our world. I just want to be a light and shine that on my people. In the name of Allah Most High. Thank you.